needs to be equal for everybody. So that's going to change as part of this plan as well. Okay, next one. How are we on time? You're doing fine. Okay, these are the things that you're going to see happening this year. No longer can insurance companies impose what are called lifetime caps on health insurance. If you're healthy, you've never even thought about that. Once you get really sick, you start to look at things like that. And lots of policies have caps of $250,000, $500,000, $1 million. You get really sick, you can burn through $1 million really fast. And then what happens? Then you're really sick, and then you don't have any health insurance. So we're getting rid of lifetime caps completely this year. Annual caps, which exist in many policies as well, will be dealt with in 2014. Now, we can take a lot of credit here in California for getting rid of rescission, because we have a Department of Managed Health Care. Unlike the rest of the country, about 80% of our people are in a managed health care environment. The Department of Managed Health Care has this ability to enforce laws. They got complaints. They get lots of complaints every year, and they review them and investigate them. And they found out that 3 insurers in the state were rescinding coverage to people that were enrolled in their plans, paying their premiums, and then got sick. And then they would go back and look at their application, try to find if there was an error they made in their application, and then they would kick them out of the plan. Now, this is a real story. A breast cancer patient about to have breast cancer surgery has insurance in the individual market, has been paying her premiums. Right before the surgery, she gets a letter from her insurer saying that they are no longer going to cover her because she had not represented herself accurately in her application. You know what she didn't do? She didn't indicate that she was treated for acne when she was 16 years old. No, this is a real case. So, Department of Managed Health Care goes out, looks at it. There was something like over 5,000 complaints in California alone. So if we had 5,000 complaints, imagine, across the country what we were looking at. And they fined them $14 million. So that's what really elevated the issue. And then we started looking around. Anthem Blue Cross, did you see what they were doing? This most recent fiasco, they were basically looking at breast cancer patients and scanning their records to see if there was any way that they could boot them out of health insurance. Now, so that is no longer going to be allowed to happen. That's a huge benefit. It goes into effect this year. I mentioned the $250 rebate for seniors. Now, those who have pre-existing conditions, who are uninsured, have to wait till 2014 for the insurance to kick in. So we had to do something for them. So what we've created, or will be creating across the country, are these high-risk insurance pools. So if you're high risk, if you have a pre-existing condition, you can access health insurance through a high-risk pool. And those will go into effect by September of this year. I mentioned the young people up to the age of 26, that goes into effect this year. Small businesses, if you have 25 employees or less, you will be eligible to receive a 35% tax credit if you offer health insurance to your employees. You're a small business employer, you have 25 employees or less, you get a 35% tax credit on health insurance you provide to your employees if you pay for 50% of their health insurance.
And they make $25,000.
And they make $25,000 or less.
That's a sliding scale.
Okay, so the employee makes $25,000 or less. You pay 50% of their premium. You get a 35% tax credit, and you are an employer with less than 25 employees. So a great benefit to small employers. And, I don't even know if we need to put that. Okay, so should we do questions on? Let's do questions on healthcare first, and then move on to financial services reform. Yes.
When will we start buying drugs like Canada does?
One of the regrettable things that the president did is early on in this process, he negotiated with pharma and agreed to basically not change the existing law on Medicare, which is that we cannot negotiate for discounts for prescription drugs in the Medicare system. In exchange for that, in exchange for not doing anything for that, he got a commitment from the pharmaceutical companies to provide $90 billion towards this healthcare reform fix. That's why all the things in the donut hole are going to take place. But it's a great example of what happens over and over again in this country, where because of the power of the special interests, they're successful in getting Congress to tie its own hands. I mean, how preposterous is that?
Stupid. How long is this in effect if we can't negotiate like that?
Until Congress changes it.
Get busy.
Get busy. That's right.
Congresswoman Speier, first of all, I want to commend you again because it was such a dirty fight that the Republicans imposed on you all, doing something that basically is compassionate care. And to have no compassion in this whole process that showed is completely ridiculous. I used to be a Republican.
You're reformed,
One of the things that you didn't point out, and I think that we need to crack down further on, is that if an employer has more than 200 employees, that they actually have to pay a fee, fine, whatever you want to call it, to go towards the health care. And right here in Pacifica, I don't know if you heard, and to me it goes to unfair labor practices because companies like Walmart, Home Depot, and what have you, they unfairly keep their employees basically part-time so that they don't have to give them benefits. And then the employees themselves, and a relative of mine has to do this,